Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. My name is River Lee, and I am the founder of the Savvy Groomer, where I teach you to go from being burnt out, broke and broken, to healthy, wealthy, and happy, building a grooming business on your terms. We are currently in my closet, which is it's a little weird, but that's okay. I am staying in an Airbnb through the end of February. My sister just had her baby. I'm so excited for her. She did the most groomer thing humanly possible having this baby. She worked a half day on Thursday, drove her grooming van to the doctor to get an ultrasound done. And then when she was at the doctor's, she was actually told that she would not be leaving, that she would have to stay because she was in fact in labor. I mean, if there's anything more groomer than showing up to have your baby in your grooming van, I can't think of it. Now, obviously, the Savvy Groomer, we don't want you to make those choices, but you know, you're going to make whatever choices you want, and I'm going to support you on that. Because of course, the conversation with my sister went something like this. I really wanted you to take some time off and enjoy your pregnancy and put your feet up and relax. And her feeling was like, well, my customers needed me. All these things. You know how it goes. So I love her. I'm perfectly okay with the fact that she chose to take her time and do what she wanted to do. That's part of this too with the Savvy Groomer, is making sure that you do what you think is best. So I'm up here in Rhode Island for another 2 months before I head back down to South Carolina. I can't wait to go back. I love South Carolina. I'm having a great time there. But I will be back down there in March. In the meantime, this is my very unsexy background. It is what it is. We'll just make it work, right? So let's go ahead and talk about today's topic, if I can find it. Today's topic is going to be why structured scheduling matters. Now, for some of you guys, you may already use a very structured schedule. And if you give me 1 second, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can pull up my examples of a structured schedule. Give me 1 second, please, guys. Do 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 do, mana mana. Do 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 do, mana mana. Do 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 do. Actually, I just realized we are streaming live in a couple of places, so let me go ahead and pop that down. Now, if you guys are live here watching, feel free to say hello. I always love when you guys come here live, and it really helps me keep this upbeat and cheery, because sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to myself. You guys know how that is. So I'm going to try really hard again. It's in my Google Drive, and you know me, guys, I should have this up, but one is only human, right? So let me find. Okay, so this is a great example. So let me pull this up. Hey, Picture Perfect Grooming and Juan Rivera, great to see you guys. Lovely to see you. So I'm going to just take out the name here. And let's start talking about some structured schedules. So I saw in a couple of groups that people were like, okay, how do I structure my day? And when I had my grooming salon, guys, I groomed anywhere between, well, I didn't personally groom, the shop groomed anywhere, well, I should say, including baths and haircuts. We did an average of 25 to 40 dogs a day. That's a lot. Okay, that's a lot of pets coming in. We had a pet coming in about every 15 minutes. And as you can imagine, that requires you guys to be very diligent. It requires you to be very conscious of everything that you are doing. So what I'm going to try really hard to do is, I have a great example here. It's really, I will say, like, I really want to be able to, at some point, use Zoom to be able to do this, because it's so hard for me to show all the different things that I want to show you guys. But we're just gonna look at this. So me see if I can make this a little smaller. So, you guys should be able to read this. Let me try this. Whoop. Okay, you guys can see it. So, what I have here is a schedule example. This is a groomer with one bather and one groomer, and the groomer who's the owner is going to be the receptionist. So let's look at how this groomer schedules her day. So at 8 a.m., she's going to have 2 small haircuts, right? And so she's going to have a small haircut. Now, while she's checking in these 2 small haircuts, her bather, who happens to be named Autumn, is going to go ahead and check in and start. I'm sorry, the receptionist, who is the groomer, is going to be checking them in, and the bather is going to begin prepping them. So she's going to be doing her nails, the ears, putting them in the bath, anything like that, right? And the groomer between 8 and 8:30 is going to go ahead and start, checking these in. So then at 8:30, the groomer is going to come over and check in a medium bath dog. Now, what they consider a medium bath dog depends upon the business. So for some people, that's going to be 50 pounds and under. For some people, it's going to be under 35 pounds, right? So this is going to be a very quick check-in, right? And then at 8:30, they're going to check that dog in. That dog might even show up at 8:15. So between 8 and 9 a.m., they're going to have 3 dogs already in there, right? They're going to have 2 small haircuts and a medium bath dog. So at 8:30, the groomer is going to go ahead and start these haircuts. Now, they're probably not going to have them all the way done, right? Not realistically. All right, so I would assume that between 8:30 and 9:30, that's what they're doing, right? They're going to be doing those small haircuts, right? And then at 9 a.m., she's also going to be checking in 2 more haircuts. Again, as she's checking them in, she's handing them to her bather, who's going to do the nails, ears, prep the dog, and go ahead and start bathing them. Right, and here, once she's done checking these dogs in, she's going to probably be finishing up these haircuts. And then again, her plan will be, again, to start doing these 2 haircuts between 9:30 and 10:30. At 10 a.m., she's going to be checking in 2 small haircuts again. Her bather is going to start prepping these out. She's going to start finishing these 2 guys. And then at 10:30, the groomer is going to start finishing up these haircuts. Now, at 10:30, her bather, who got in at 8, is going to take a break. Now, some of you guys might be like, well, that's not fair. She's only been in for 2.5 hours. But, don't forget too, she's also bathed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dogs. So this bather in 2.5 hours has already bathed that many dogs. So they could probably use a break, guys. At 11 o'clock, the receptionist, who's also the owner groomer, is going to check in both a large haircut and a large bath dog. Okay? Right? So she's going to go ahead and check both these dogs in. So this large haircut dog is going to again be started up by the bather, and the large bath won't be prepped and started until 11:30. So that gives that bather a whole half hour to bathe and dry that haircut, that large haircut. Now in this salon, there is cage dryers, and they have a pretty great setup. So this is a realistic schedule for them. Now, if you notice here, right, this large bath, they're being checked in at the same time, just the same as we have 2 here, 2 here. So it's pretty simple and easy. And then what we're going to do for every, small bath, medium bath, right? We're going to have 3 hours. That pet's going to be here for 3 hours. So she's going to tell that client at 8:30, come back at 3 hours, right? So 8:30, 9:30, 10:30. So at 11:30, this dog should be done. Now, there's absolutely no reason that her bather in between all these dogs cannot have this medium bath dog finished, right? That is what this bather's responsibility is bathing, drying, prepping all these dogs to hop onto the grooming table. So that bather's doing all of those things while the groomer is both checking in dogs and finishing up haircuts. And depending upon how much this bather knows, this bather may or may not know how to do pre-bath shaves. They may know how to do pads. They may know how to do everything except for the whole body haircut. They may even know how to do the body haircut. And this depends upon how much you want to train your bather. So let's go ahead and head down a little bit. Okay. So at 12, and again, this is all color coded. So at 12 o'clock, the 8 a.m. haircut dogs are going home. So even if this groomer fell behind at 8:30, right? Because at 8:30 she starts the groom. She's got lots of time. So even if these guys are falling behind, let's say she's not done with these dogs, right? She can move this 8:30 dog to this 9:30 and just bump everyone down, right? There's plenty of room. If this dog is in 8, there's no reason it shouldn't be done by noon, right? And this allows everything to get caught up, right? Right here at noon, you've got space for the bather to finish up any bath dogs, blowouts, anything that the groomer may need. And in the meantime, between noon and about, so this is our 8 o'clock dog, they're all set. And this is, remember up here, our 9 o'clock haircut. So they're going to come back in again. So small haircut is here for 4 hours. So at 9 a.m., these two small haircuts, even if they get pushed back, there's no reason they shouldn't be done by 1 o'clock, right? And the same thing down here at 2 o'clock, right? At 2 o'clock, that's the dogs that had been done at 10. So you have another 4 hours. So even if they get pushed back, let's say, till noon, there's no reason that they wouldn't be done within those 2 extra hours, right? And the same thing again with this large dog bath. That large dog bath should probably be done realistically by 1 the very latest, right? Because look at all this extra room. And our large haircut, even if it gets pushed down, that dog's getting picked up at 3 o'clock. So this leaves, if we have between, let's say, noon and 1 to just finish up all our grooms, do what we've got to do, right, and be able to check out these clients, that leaves from 1 o'clock till about 2:30 when this bather wants to leave. They want to go pick up their children at school at 2:30. That gives them time to clean up the shop, finish everything up. Obviously not where the groomer is, but, unless the groomer is completely done with their grooms, the groomer here would need to clean out just that last kennel, right? Because if the 2 haircuts and large bath dog was picked up at 2, then at 2:30, there's no reason that the 2 kennels here and that kennel there would be clean and disinfected, right? So the only kennel that the groomer would need to clean out would be that large dog hair pickup. And so when we look at, 8 to 2:30, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, so 6.5 hours, right? I'm sorry, not even 6.5 hours. They would be there for 6.5 hours, but that's also with a half-hour lunch break, okay? And my groomer here would really only be here from 7:30 to 3. And that groomer would get there a half an hour early because it's the owner to get there and set everything up. Make sure they have all their notes and things are running really smoothly. And so when we look at this is 2, 4, 6. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 haircuts and 2 baths. So we have here 7 haircuts and 2 baths with very little, right? With very little hours. So we've got 6.5 and 7 hours. That's an incredibly efficient situation there. Let me just go back to my face. Give me 1 second. Boop, boop. So that's a really incredibly effective schedule, right? That's a great example if you're going to have pets be overlapped and allow them to be able to see everything. Hey, Christy. Hey, Brittany. Great to see you here. And Melissa. Very nice. Wanting such a great visual. Absolutely. And again, this is one example. And as you can see from this schedule, how smart this is a scheduling wise, right? This is a great way for you to begin to break down how you are grooming this. So let's look at another schedule. And let's say this is a groomer bather, right? And this is why we need to be really smart when we are scheduling. It's not willy-nilly. That groomer in that example of that schedule does not allow a doodle to come in the first thing of the day. Why? Because it screws up the whole schedule. The reason they do that large dog at the end of the day is because it's going to make the most mess, right? And the large breed dogs are going to make the most mess. You know, whether that dog is a shepherd or a lab, it's going to make a significantly bigger mess than Shih Tzus, Yorkies, right? Malteses. It's going to make significantly more mess than a Beagle, right? And if we consider a lab a medium bath, then a large breed bath would probably be, a Husky or a Malamute, or, I hate to say, potentially a Newfie, but maybe that, right? So that's going to make the most mess. So we don't want to have to worry about cleaning up a ton between these, right? So that's a great example. Now let's look again and again. Give me 1 second to make sure that this is all lined up. Because it's always so tough. Boop, that should be good. All right, so let's go ahead and transition. Whoop, I made it too big. Give me 1 second. Nothing's perfect. Woo! I want you to be able to see it, but also me be able to see it. Okay, so let's look at this other example here. So this is one groomer check-in with a very similar check-in schedule. So this groomer is going to have her pet 2 small haircuts, check in at 9:30, right? So she's going to check in at 9, check in at 9. So they're both going to come at the same time. Then at 9:30, she's going to bathe and prep the first dog and bathe and prep the second dog. Now, it's really important that this groomer makes it a point to only book dogs, right, that are going to be able to do this. And this is where our point system comes in. If this is a 2-point dog, I understand a lot of people are going to say, I don't know about that. But if in an hour, I cannot check in 2 dogs, bathe them, prep them, and stick them in a drying kennel. And I know some of you guys don't do drying kennels, but let's use this groomer's example. If you can't do that in an hour, there's a problem here. It's either your check-in's taking too long, or you're spending way too much doing prepping and it's not a 2-point dog. Alternatively, let's say you're doing, I don't want to say fancy haircuts, but let's say you're doing a haircut that requires far more prep and far more bathing. Well, then that should be, if this is a 2-point dog, right? Then if they take up the space of 2 small haircuts, that would be a 4-point dog. So here's the thing is if these dogs both cost, let's say for easy math, $100, that means you need to charge that 4-point dog $200, right? And that's just basic math. Now, if you're on the lower spectrum and you're charging $50 each dog, well, that means that this 4-point dog needs to cost $100. If you have a dog here that's taking over both spots and it's not lining up like that, then you don't book them because you're losing money and that doesn't make any sense to do that. So this groomer is going to check in her 2 dogs at 9. She's going to be like, yeah, I love you. I'll talk to you later. And she's going to go ahead and start bathing and prepping, and she's going to put these guys in the kennel dryer right as her 10 o'clock dogs come in. So she's going to have her 3rd and 4th dog come in at 10 o'clock, right? And they're going to be checked in, and these guys are going to be in the drying kennel for about an hour between 10 and 11 o'clock while she's bathing and prepping dog 3 and dog 4. Now let's go ahead and go down, right? We're going to make sure we're scheduling these dogs properly. So then at 11 o'clock, she's going to go ahead and finish dog 1 as dog 3 and dog 4 are in the drying kennel. And again, they're going to be in the drying kennel from 11 to 12. If you guys don't believe in drying kennels, that's fine. This is not your schedule. But for those of you guys that do kennel dry, you're going to be doing something similar. She's going to spend about 30 minutes doing this dog's haircut and another 30 minutes doing this dog's haircut. Again, if this is a 2-point dog, that is a 5-strip or a 1/2 inch on the body, round teddy bear face, there's no reason this dog should take more time than that. If it does, it needs to be charged appropriately. And then at 12, she's again going to be working on dog 3, and at 12:30, dog 4. at 1 o'clock, she's going to check in dog 5 and dog 6. Okay? She's also, at the same time, because she is actually the only person, she's going to be checking out dog 1 and 2 at the same exact time. So she's going to have 4 people coming in and out, right? Or they could be the same household, whatever. But that means that she can stop doing what she's doing for about 30 minutes and check out these people. Now, by having all these people up front, it's going to pressure them to get out. And that sounds really mean. But a lot of times customers want to talk to us and we want to talk to them. But by having these people waiting, it's like, hey, no problem. Let me do this. And this is also why automation, things like online booking, right? She doesn't really have time to sit there and chit chat for an hour. Her goal is to get everyone in and out efficiently, warmly, but quickly. So she's going to check in dog 5 and 6, and she's going to check out dog 1 and 2. Okay? And at 1:30, she's going to go ahead and prep dog 5 and 6. And she's going to put them in the drying kennel at 2 o'clock. As she checks out dog 3 and dog 4, right? So at 2 o'clock, she's already checked out 4 dogs. Here, she's going to be doing the finishing work for dog 5 and dog 6. Now, between 3:30 and 4:30, right, all this time, in a perfect world, she's going to be cleaning up, doing her kennels, all that, and some admin work, returning phone calls and things like that. But let's say if you're like, well, River, she's going to be falling behind. Well, then she's got lots of time, right? From 2:30 to 5. She's got time to figure it out. This gives her plenty of time to figure whatever else she needs to get out. And it might be that instead of doing all this, it might be on the outside after 5 o'clock. But those are the outliers. And that's where she would write in the notes that this dog, let's say this dog is a schnauzer and the dog is, aggressive and it fights her and it's making her life a living hell. Sweet dog, but is just like, no, I do what I want. And she's like, God damn it happens to the best of us. Well, then she knows that this dog is not a 2-point dog. This dog is a 4-point dog. So therefore, this dog takes up the space of these 2 dogs and needs to be double because this dog took double the time that it should have taken. The same thing if this dog is only done every 3 months and it takes her double the time, then it needs to be double the cost, right? So even if it's, let's say these are both Shih Tzus, right? Or let's use Yorkies because I think Yorkies are a little bit easier to understand. So let's say both of these Yorkies, are, let's say 10 pounds, they're pretty compliant, but this one has its tongue matted to its freaking eyeball, and has urine-soaked feet and legs, right? This one is just completely a hot mess express. And this lady comes in every single, 4 weeks and she's meticulous and she's perfect. Well, there's no reason that these 2 dogs should be the same price. And this dog is going to eat into my cleanup time and my admin time. This dog is going to take me more time than it should take me. Therefore, this dog is going to have to cost more. And if this dog takes an hour instead of a half hour, well, guess what? That's 2 dogs worth of time. So if these were both $50 dogs, right? Well, then this would, and this takes 2 hours. I'm sorry, it takes a whole hour on top of like the bathing, the drying. Say it takes an hour to shave because, it took longer to bathe because I had to get the urine smell out and like I had to be very delicate with it. Well, that's going to be $100 because it took me twice the amount of time. I'm not here to subsidize bad behavior. I have 0 patience for that. Goose egg patience for that. Right? And that means that instead of being done when I check this pet out, these 2 dogs out at 5 o'clock, I might have to stay, right? Let's add that in. 5:30 and then 4:30. I'm sorry. 6 o'clock. Right? So if instead of doing my cleanup time here, I'm going to have to do it here. Well, that means I stay an extra hour. If I'm staying an extra hour because you refuse to groom your dog on an every 4-week schedule, you have to pay for that. This is not charity. And my personal life matters. And so, as you can see here, this groomer has a longer day and they choose to do 6 dogs, right? But they don't have the overhead of a bather, right? And if you notice here, this groomer has chosen to not have bath dogs. And you might be asking, why wouldn't this groomer want bath dogs, right? Well, if you look at that schedule, can you tell me where she could fit a bath dog in that would actually add to her day, add money to her day, and not add stress? Because I personally don't see it. And the amount of money that she's going to earn adding a bath dog may or may not actually make it easier for her. And my goal for this person is to have the most comfortable schedule possible. We don't want to stress out our groomer, whether that's you or whether that is a potential person, right? We don't want that. We don't want to do this. We want people to have a schedule where they're comfortable, they are happy, and ultimately, they are productive. And looking at the schedule, if you have somebody who does, staggered grooming, I can't think of a better way in that scenario with that groomer, a better way that they can do that. I don't see a better way that they can do that. And that's okay. You don't have to figure it out. For your schedule and how to create the most optimal thing, we want to look at how you're doing everything, right? We want to look at, okay, how are we doing this? So really quickly, I'm trying to pull up, I have another person that does mobile, and I'm trying to find their schedule. I'm trying to remember where we put it. Sometimes, it's not easy. It's not easy to remember exactly where things are. I really wish I had been able to save it. It's not where I want it to be. No, I don't think it's where I'm going to want it to be. And you know what? That's okay. But there's so many ways to get it set up. Okay, so here is actually a great example. So I'm hoping you guys can understand what this is. Let me go ahead and share it. Okay, so this is a groomer. She has 4 cat grooms, okay? She's going to have an 8 o'clock. So this is the arrival window. She's going to show up between 8 and 9 a.m. And she's going to groom her first cat between 9 and 10 a.m. And then this cat is the same household. So she's going to groom this cat between 10 and 11. Okay? And then this gives them a buffer window. So in case she runs a little late, she could show up at this next cat, Nim, between noon and 2 p.m. So this client knows she can show up as late as, let's say, 3 o'clock here. Okay, so Nim's going to get her long hair bath and blow dry and any add-ons between 3 and 4 o'clock. And then Dexter's the last cat, and she knows the buffer window is anywhere between 5 and 7 o'clock. So the arrival window here is as early as 4 and as late as, I think that's 6, right? And she's going to do this plush cut. And then there's going to be about an hour drive home. Now, this is an incredibly long day to only do 4 cats. But what we're not shown here is how far apart in this example that this person is. Also, none of these cats have been done on a regular schedule. And that is because of certain issues that was going on in the business that they needed to evaluate and to fix. But realistically, if this groomer shows up at 8 or 9, right, because it's going to take an hour to drive from where they are to this first client's house. So they knew that this groomer was going to be there no earlier than 9, maybe 8:30. right? And then they knew realistically, if both of these cats are not matted, there's no problems. It's going to be between, 2 to 4 hours, right? 4 hours if these cats come up matted, in case of the owner asks for other add-ons or upsells, right? And then we go to our next cat and then our next cat. So the earliest this person could drive home is probably 5 o'clock, but they could be driving home as late as 8 or 9. And this leads itself up to that. And what's nice is that the way the business is set up is, let's say if these cats are all 2-hour cats, so 2, 4, 6, 8 hours of grooming. Well, each of these cats would be a minimum of $300. So let's say, for giggles, each cat is $300, right? We're going to do 3 times 4. So we're talking about $1,200. And let's take that $1,200 and let's divide that by, oh God, so that would be 13 hours, right? It's a lot of time. But that's still a good hourly rate, right? That's still about $92 an hour. And this groomer is paid $25 an hour. So this groomer works. Now this groomer would also probably get overtime, but let's just ignore that for a second. Let's say they're going to work, is it 13 hours? I think so, right? Because 8 to 8 would be 12. So at worst, this groomer, I should say worst, from a business standpoint, this groomer is getting paid $325, which is 13 hours times 25. We're not going to talk about overtime just to simplify this. And they're also probably making a minimum of $100 in tips. But let's say, for just ease, let's say if they make 20%, right? So they're making $240 in tips, right? So we're going to make hourly. We're going to make tips, right? And then this groomer is going to make how much for the day? Total. So yes, this groomer might work a long day if all of these cats are in a bad condition, but they're still walking home with $565 that day for hourly and tips. I mean, that's a damn good day to be an employee, a W-2 employee where you just groom cats and then you go home, right? And for the business, if they are making $1,200, and I know my numbers are everywhere, guys, I'm sorry. So let's get $1,200. We're not going to add in the overhead and things like that. Let's just take out the hourly. So the business in this instance, let's say made $875 and the groomer made $565, including tips. I mean, that's a win-win-win. It's a long ass day, but everyone wins in this scenario. So with that, you want to schedule smart. You want to start anticipating what is going on, how to do it. Because in this instance, we want everyone to win. We want the groomers to win. We want everyone to win. Melissa says, nice. I think so. I think this is all very effective. I think that the best way to create a schedule for yourself is to consider, how long do I groom? What is going on for me? Like, what is the best way for me to schedule myself? Do I want to do one-on-one? Do I want to have staggered grooming? How long realistically before I pick everyone up? Like, what does that look like? And how do I effectively communicate that and simplify that? I think way too often we create these scenarios where we're not actually doing what we need to do, right? We're unfortunately not. And that's really unfortunate, but it's just the truth. It's just a scenario where we're doing everything we can, but we're not following through. And that is just not effective long term. All right, let me look really quick one last time because I know there was another. Let me see if it's this one. I really want to find the schedule. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. It was really good too. It's funny too. It's like I'm looking through everything. It's just funny. calendar template, an hourly, pricing structures, appointment schedule. Is this the one? Yeah. And there's ways, like I have another example of a bather and a groomer where they're grooming 10 dogs a day. There's lots of ways of setting this all up. You can set it up any way you want with however many dogs you want. It's just a matter of what it is that you want to do and how you want to do it, right? So here, let's do this. This is a great example. This is someone's actual schedule, not grooming schedule. Darn it. File open. Nope, not what I wanted. Ugh, so frustrating. I know exactly what I want. I just cannot find it at the very moment. And things like that happen sometimes, Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Oh God, if I can. Oh, you know what? I bet that's under. Let me look under somebody else's little drive. This is what I want. Perfect. And that way too, I don't have to show anyone anything personal. Some of these things have a lot of my clients' information. So this is going to look a little excessive, but go with me for a minute, okay? Okay, so what we have here is a great example of, this is someone mobile, okay? And this is really important. When you are mobile, you need to know what the hell you're doing. Now, this is not color-coded, so stay with me. So she's going to start prepping and leave the house between 7:45 and 7:55. So what she does is she preps work, like everything for work the night before. Make sure, okay, good. And then she's going to drive to her first stop. Her very first stop is about 60 minutes drive there. So she's going to get to her first stop at 8:55. She's going to start working right at 8:55, and she's going to take an hour at that groom stop. Anything that takes more than an hour, she's not going to accept. Her mobile grooming business, she does not accept any dogs that take more than 60 minutes, including check-in, check-out, and being done. Now, all of her clients are in a 4-week schedule, and they're required to. So they're all in great shape, and they're really easy haircuts. And by easy haircuts, I mean predictable and simplistic. So don't worry about that. So then she's going to go ahead and drive 10 minutes to her next stop. So from 9:55, she's going to leave that stop, and she's going to be at her next stop for 10:05. Okay. And so she's going to work at that stop for 60 minutes, being at 11:05, right? And then she's going to drive only 10 minutes to her next stop. And she's going to do this to her 5th stop. Her 5th stop is around 3:55. She's going to take about 60 minutes to drive home. Now, when we were looking at this, she originally wanted to do 6 stops a day. But when we broke out all of the time that she might take for this, she realized that this would take her past 5 o'clock. Right here, drive home. Her drive home, she would end up in 5 o'clock traffic. And it would, instead of taking her 60 minutes, it would take her between 90 and 120 minutes. So an hour and a half and 2 hours. So it wasn't worth it to her to groom a 6th pet in that day than it would be for her to get stuck in traffic on the way home. And so we decided to end at her 5th stop, right? And then it's an hour ride home to her house, right? And then she's going to take about 30 minutes to prep and finish and do everything she needs to do. And so she should be done with her work around 5:05. So her day starts at 7:45 and her day ends at 5:05. Now, when we were figuring out her pricing, we looked at, okay, how many days a week are you going to do this? Because it's a long day. right? We agreed that Monday was going to be her office and paperwork day, right? And so we did 5 stops, 9 hours. She's going to do this 3 days a week. She's going to work 24 hours a week. She's going to do 15 pets a week, right? She's going to do 60 pets a month, and she's going to gross about $8,000 a month if she charges about this, right? And then we also worked on how much she's going to charge per pet per year. So this year she's going to do 100 to 110. In 2022, she's going to do 115 to 125. And then in 2023, she's going to do 135 to 145. That way, when she hits, again, she might even do a faster jump with inflation going the way it is. But we have a plan, right? Because our goal here is to make enough that it makes sense, right? But by doing this scheduling, we can see the hours. And then if she has a client who is fussy or a client who wants to chat, she will actually have to remind them, hey, this is a 60-minute appointment. I can only groom, this. I'm going to have to either finish the groom early or something's going to have to happen because I only have this amount of time. And we don't do half stops here, right? If she were to do, let's say if this client wants a 90-minute stop, well, then that takes up 2 spots, right? Because there's no room for a half spot. If she does a spot and a half, that means that she goes home early, but she misses on a whole groom. So even if that client was let's say for instance, stop 1, because we've got our prices over here. Let's say the stop 1 is $100. And let's say stop 2 wants a fancier haircut, or they want to chat, or they want more time. They want 90 minutes. So some of you guys might go, well, I need to charge 150, right? Well, no, because that spot is essentially taking up spot 2 and spot 3. Because for her to make the same amount of money, right? Because right now, 100, 100, 100. Make sure I'm getting all these before I stop working. Right. Make sure you guys can see it. So right here, let's add these up. Stop 1, stop 2, stop 3, stop 4, stop 5. Don't tell me what to do. So, right, and so let's say she does it here, and then she takes 0. Well, now she's lost money. So let me go back so you guys can see this. I'm going to copy this over here so you can see it. And so let's say for easy math here, stop 4 is a $150 spot. Well, then she either has to work late and get stuck in traffic for a long day, or she doesn't do the stop. So now, even though this dog is more difficult, her option is do this more difficult dog and still groom this dog and run late. It wasn't worth it. So if this client will not conform to the $60 spot, it actually needs to be a $200 spot, because this dog is now taking these 2 spots to make this even. So as you can see very quickly, this really simplifies it by making your scheduling easy, effortless for you. It really helps you, because now when that dog wants 90 minutes, you can just say, listen, I generally take pets that take this long. If you would like this more complicated haircut, if you would like this insert scenario, right? You would like me to add more hand scissoring. You would like me to do this. Just so you know, your pet would be taking up 2 spots and therefore would be charged for 2 spots. And are you okay with that? And some people are like, I don't care. I want this. I'm willing to pay for those 2 spots. And some people would be like, no, I'm not willing to pay for that. And then they have to make that choice, right? I'm not making that choice for them. I'm being the guide. Remember, we talk about the hero, the villain, and the guide. I'm not going to be the hero and try to get that dog done in 60 minutes when it's really a 90-minute haircut. I'm not doing that. I'm also not going to add an extra dog to my schedule, add another half an hour onto my schedule, and be late and get stuck in traffic. And I'm not going to be the villain and promise these things and not be able to help them out in the end. I'm going to guide them. I'm going to say, these are your options. What's your pleasure? Because I'm indifferent. Your options are, we make this really simple haircut. It's less effort. It's really easy. I shouldn't say easy, but no haircut's easy. But it's going to stay within that 60-minute time. Or you need to pay for 2 spots. What would you prefer? And I'm not the hero. I'm not the villain. I'm just offering them options. Okay, so I want you to really think about that. Hey, Crystal, great to see you. So these are 3 different ways I suggest you consider some scheduling. I mean, there's so many different ways. I am always shocked at how much, I guess I shouldn't be shocked. That's not fair. I really enjoy doing coaching hours where, especially if you've done your price increase masterclass, because it's really helped you figure out what way do you want to do. Do you want to do one-on-one? Do you want to be mobile? Do you want to have a shop? Do you want employees? How many employees you want? By going through the price increase masterclass, you have realized what you want to do. And then what we do is we take that information and we go ahead and we then can create a master schedule for your shop and make sure the pricing makes sense. Because using a schedule like this, we can figure out, okay, how much money do I need to earn in order for this to work? Okay. And that's different for everyone. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just a matter of, does the math work? And does it make you happy? For instance, the person with the mobile business, it's really important to them to be home for their family. They don't want to spend an extra 30, 40 minutes, especially because they're driving 60 minutes out of the way to be in a more affluent area. And remember, those affluent clients are not driving 60 minutes. You're saving them so much sanity and time and effort. We are coming to them. And if you're in a shop, somebody who wants to drop their big dog off at 8 a.m., that's when, if they're like, no, I must do this, you have 2 options. You can either say, no, you can't, because your dog's going to take up a space and that's not going to be fair to them. Or you charge them for a day boarding. You can charge them in between $35 and $55. You can say, absolutely not a problem. We have a day boarding option. And what that includes is that your pet gets dropped off at 8 a.m. We're going to have 1 potty break in water, and your pet can be picked up no earlier than X, right? And that X would be when that dog would be done anyway. That's when they must be picked up. You can make an extra $35 to $55 for that. But just taking the dog and letting it sit there all day makes you resentful, or the dog's going to go potty. I mean, if you're not a daycare, don't be a daycare. You don't offer free daycare. Okay? Adds more stress to you, adds more stress to your staff. You'll be able to focus on the dogs that you're meant to be focusing on. Or cats, And we haven't even gone into a scenario where everyone drops off in the morning. We haven't gone through a scenario where you are doing one-on-one grooming because there's no travel time in between. And there are so many ways of doing everything. It's just figuring out what it is that you want to do, how you want to do it, and what is the most profitable. I will say the staggered grooming, like you saw with the the groomer and the bather, over about 8 hours staggered with the groomer owner checking in, is the most profitable. Unless if your mobile rates are much higher, and they can be. I see lots of people doing only 20 pounds and under dogs for $100 to $180 per dog. And we're not talking about hand scissored cuts. We're talking about 5 strips. We're talking about 1/2 inch on the bodies with round teddy bear faces. Nothing fancy. And I think that the belief system that you must have the best haircuts, or the only way you can charge those prices is to have hand scissor skills, is such a disservice to the industry. I do think there's a lot more involved. I don't think that, you can have a really crappy business with bad customer service skills or running in a bad, so many other things, and then still be successful. I mean, you could be successful in spite of things, but I actually find there's so many things that are more valuable to customers than just a good haircut. I can't tell you, how many times I've gone to a restaurant and they don't serve 5-star food, but they're still really fun. They have a great atmosphere, or, it's very neighborhoody and we just feel like everyone knows your name, right? Or the drinks are really good. I had some really fantastic cocktails the other night at a place that I was like, man, the food's but the cocktails are out of this world. or maybe there's amazing customer service and amazing staff, right? You don't have to have the best food to have the best restaurant, but it does help, right? But you can have good food, right? You don't have to serve beef Wellington. You might serve a good steak, or you might serve a really damn good hamburger, right? So I want you to get that out of your brain that you must have these perfect hand scissored haircuts to be able to charge these top tier prices. And so if you guys are, sorry, losing my track of thought. I'm like, on my soapbox, rah, rah, rah. You guys know how it goes. But this is why, guys, structured scheduling matters. This is why it's so, so important for you to structure your day, structure what dogs come in when, and how to do it. If you guys are ever interested, you can always put in the comments below. I can always show you what our old day used to look like with 40 dogs. It was banana. But we had 5 staff. It might be something that I would have to pre-record and then upload, just because it would be a very large spreadsheet. But I can always show you guys what I used to do with 40 dogs, 5 staff. And we were there about 10 hours, mostly because I would get there an hour before we opened. We would groom for 8 hours. I would pick my son up, and then I would be there for another hour just finishing up and doing things. So yeah, I'm more than happy to do that if you guys are actually interested. If you're not interested, that's a whole hell of a lot of work that I don't want to do if no one wants to see it. If you guys are interested in talking more, feel free to hop into my free Facebook group, Savvy Pet Professionals. We're talking about personal finance, business, and lifestyle. That's right on Facebook. I really like my little Facebook group. I'm in there the most often compared to any other Facebook group, just giving my advice and also stealing some good ideas from you guys to talk about. I thought this was actually in a group talking about how to schedule, and I thought that was a great idea. If you're interested in learning more about my services, you can hop on a virtual coffee. Now, it's only 30 minutes. It's only $25. You can do it one time. And what you're going to do is go to savvygroomer.com, hop in a virtual coffee, right in, I know you can't share a screen because it's a pain in the butt system. But in my store, you can go ahead and buy that and schedule that. Now, my hours are a little limited until I get home and settled in South Carolina. Unfortunately, I've been moving quite a bit. It is what it is. But I'm here for my nephew, and that's the most important thing. I'm really excited. I'm really excited that I got to be here for when he was born. I'm really excited. He's the first, so he's the second grandbaby in my family. And he is also, I don't know how to say this. It's like, we haven't had a baby in the family for 10 years, so it's really amazing. My sister's the youngest kid in our family, and then my son was, and now Hunter is. So I'm really excited about it. But on the virtual coffee, we can talk about different courses you may want to take for Savvy Groomer. We may be able to start talking about different structures, but ultimately, if you want help, and I'm going to be very honest with these, we're not going to be able to come up in 30 minutes with how to set up your business structure as far as like a schedule. That is a 1 to 3 hour call, because if you're a solopreneur, we can bang that out in about an hour or two. If you have employees and other structures and things like that, it's realistically going to be 2 to 3 hours. It is what it is. Because I have to dig into your business, I have to know your business. That call is about an hour if you've done your Price Increase Masterclass, because once you've done all that information, it's going to be a lot easier. So I hope that helps, guys. I really love it when you guys come live. I want to thank you guys so much for coming live. AT2 Production says, bad atmosphere can ruin any restaurant. Doesn't matter how good food is. Absolutely. Melissa says, thanks for the info. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, guys, for saying hi when you're live. Sometimes I feel like I just talk to myself. And I know no one really cares, but I do. It helps me out. And like I said, forgive the background. I'm really excited that when I have I can't wait to have my own office again. Not having an office in this Airbnb is making me crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, guys. So I will talk to you next week. If you have any questions, like I said, hop in my free Facebook group, hop on a virtual coffee, message the Savvy Groomer on Facebook. I'm happy to help you. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the future. All right, guys. Happy grooming!